Hitachi City is located 150 kilometers north from Tokyo and has a population of 200,000. The urban district is on a plateau between the Pacific Ocean and mountains. This is Heiwa-dori, the 1-kilometer main avenue of cherry trees, which runs from Hitachi Station to National Road 6. Along this avenue, Hitachi Furyumono is a festive event along this avenue, performed both at the Cherry Blossom Festival of every year and at the Kamine Shrine Great Festival of every 7 years. Furyumono means a float, and people call it daishi. It imitates a castle of 5 layers, with a big rock behind it. This imitated castle opens to the sides, and a stage appears from the center for a puppet theater. Later, the float turns around so that people behind the float can also see the puppet theater. People say that a deity of the Kamine Shrine, located in the community of Miyata-cho, came from the heaven far over the ocean. Later people constructed the main building of the shrine on the top of Mount Kamine. Every 7 years, people move a kind of sword, on which people believe this deity rides, to their community. A ritual is held on the beach where the deity allegedly arrived at. The sword is carried around the community by an infant on a horse. People believe that moving around of the deity would get rid of misfortune from the community and bring about happiness to the people. The vehicle on which this deity rides is considered to be the origin of Furyumono. About 300 years ago, when Japan was wholly suffered from famine, traveling entertainers had to stay there. They began to teach the people how to produce puppets and how to manipulate them. Later, the puppet theater was installed on the float, and this is said to be the beginning of Furyumono. The 4 communities in Hitachi City competed their skills against each other and improved the design of a float. As a result, a float became bigger and bigger, its layers higher and higher. Today's float is 15 meters high, 8 meters wide, and 10 meters deep. They also improved puppets with more and more cams and rods. Ingenious movements are now possible. People in the communities manufacture puppets by themselves, including a solemn samurai face. They construct a float together. It weighs about 5 tons and is supported with these wooden wheels. The upper body of a huge float turns on this iron axis. They are constructing the upper body of a float. The main elevator, called Kagura-san, is installed inside. The 4 floats are brought together. Players of Japanese drums, flutes, and bells are inside a float, and they weave a melody. Now Hitachi Furyumono begins. The imitated castle, called Omote Yama, opens widely and a stage for the puppet theater comes out. The 5-layer stage appears and the puppets begin to move. The higher a layer, the wider a stage. This formation dares to reinforce a sense of instability with a view to a dynamic effect. It is quite Japanese. The puppet theater is going on each layer at the same time. These theaters are performed to the music without voice. The themes of the theater are on battle stories in the 14th to 16th centuries, or of moral ones in the 17th to 19th centuries. After the theater on the observed side, Omote Yama, is over, the upper body of a float turns, and the reverse side, Ushiro Yama, appears. The reverse side has an imitated rock mountain made of cotton textiles. Since the ancient times, Japanese believed that deities stay in high mountains. On this side, funny fairy tales or local legends are played. The preservation group holds workshops for children at a museum in order to teach how to manipulate puppets. They are eager to transmit this valuable cultural heritage to the future generation. Hitachi Furyumono is Japanese, prideful folk performing art developed by the originality of ideas of local people, such as the size of a float, dynamicism of expression, and an ingenious manipulation of puppets.